everybody, welcome to Why Blackboard. This is Bijal Vanjara here. So guys, we are honored today to have with us a special guest, Mr. Subran Tripathy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you, sir?
Good.
We are really excited about the conversation that we are going to have today. So once again, this is Bijal Vanjara here. And today we have a very special guest who is the COO of Pacific Pharmaceuticals USA. So Mr. Subran Tripathy is one of the distinguished pharmaceutical professionals from USA. He has more than 30 years of industrial experience in pharmaceuticals, covering R&D, clinical research, manufacturing, and also business development. Mr. Tripathy is a graduate in pharmacy with master's in management studies from US University. He is an acclaimed lipid formulator. He has developed many pharmaceutical formulations and performed numerous clinical research trials on materials in his previous positions. Mr. Tripathy is a great orator and has attended many seminars and interviews on current healthcare issues on Indian community in the United States. Currently, Mr. Tripathy is working as the Chief Operating Officer in Pacific Pharmaceuticals USA, a global pharmaceutical company engaged in ethical, nutraceuticals, and OTC formulations. He is a US citizen, blessed with 2 kids, and currently living in California, USA. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Bijal.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, sir, for giving your time to join us for today's interview session. We are really glad to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, firstly, I would like to talk about Why Blackboard, which is a platform that connects learners all around the globe through its online learning portal and industrial-based product cycle hub to the best instructors and industrialists. And you have essentially become the face of that. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So let's get right to the question and answers. So everybody is going to be answering some of our questions. So let's get into it. So let's start talking about America's backward coronavirus strategy. What do you have to say about it?
Well, I would say America was late in responding, basically late in developing a strategy for on coronavirus. If you see, there was a publication on New England Journal of Medicine. A group of Chinese scientists, they published a paper saying that they found a virus from December to early January, and the virus is infecting, one person is infecting, the infected person is infecting other people, and particularly to elderly patients. Although they published this, but the publication came only after when Wuhan was locked down. And in terms of US, WHO also was a little bit in a confused state whether to call it as a pandemic or not to call as a pandemic. And US at that time were not thinking, they are waiting for WHO to tell US exactly what is the exact situation over there. US was thinking that it was a localized case in China, and it will contain in China, it will not come to US. But it was like by the time US came to know, this is a pandemic and this is going to affect our country, by the time already the call for a restriction on the airports, there are many Chinese travelers had come to already US by the time. So the infection has come during that time very early, which US was not knowing by the time.
Okay, sir. That's true. So why do you think the US coronavirus strategy must change?
The strategy must change because the pandemic situation in US at this moment has gone inside so far into the US. It's very difficult to control unless we change our strategy now. You know, initially it was there was US was slow in responding in creating a strategy, but when they came up with the strategy, the virus situation has gone out of their hand and it was penetrating a lot more inside. Um, the strategy they should change enforcing mask and the social distancing was not earlier. It was earlier just an advising situation recommendation, but it was never an enforcing situation. After that, they realized and they found that, okay, we have to enforce people that they should wear masks. Some states, they started, some states, they did. But those kind of strategy has to change. People has to be enforced to wear mask as well as keep social distancing. In addition to that, healthcare settings like hospitals, clinics, and elderly care centers, there where the counts are more in the case of coronavirus. There the strategy has to change because they found only regular PPE is not enough. So they need to wear additional disposable head as well as in the mask. So those kind of settings also the PPE has to change because there are many people they found from a healthcare setting, healthcare professional were being infected.
That's true. So, sir, the cases have been spiking in USA. And on that, Mr. Trump exclaimed that hope Americans learn to live with it. How do you take this exclamation?
Okay, this is a statement which Trump has made, and in fact, Trump is working back with their senators and bureaucrats to make a strategy with this statement. Okay, and now you know the election is coming in November, so Trump is trying to say that okay, this is enough. We got control on the virus in the infection as well as in hospitalization cases. Hospitalization is going down, infection is going down in hotspot particularly. So we need to understand that this is not going to leave us in another 3-4 months. So we have to live with it. We have to go back to the school. We have to go back to the work, and people has to start their normal work and life. So basically, they are trying to show that the country that we have to go back to work. We have to go back to the real situation where we understand there is a threat, there is a fear, and we have to live with it.
Okay, sir. So then we have also witnessed a very complex relationship between China and USA. But now, during this pandemic, we have seen that tension has risen between them.
Yes.
So how is USA observing the situation? Rather, what's behind the new US strategy on China?
Yes, before this pandemic situation started, US has already imposed sanctions on China, particularly the tariff and particularly to the trade. So the tariff was being increased. There are a lot of restrictions to import a lot of Chinese goods to US. Now, since the pandemic has started, so Trump found it another ball game to throw it to China. Basically, he's blaming on China that, okay, all the things he's putting towards China so that he can show it to the people that China is blaming me so that I am going to lose the election. But it's not like that. Okay, so China has its own country, has its own community, and US should not uh, go forward on a war game like a talk of war or something like that. So basically, it is like a blame game, and Trump is trying to put everything towards China. Uh, but at the same time, we should look back and work in our country so that we contain the virus. We should take proper healthcare strategy to contain the situation inside the country.
All right. So I have this question. Sweden's strategy to tackle COVID-19 was unique, and the entire world has seen that. Most countries had imposed a strict lockdown, whereas Sweden took the alternate route. Why do you think that Sweden's COVID-19 strategy cannot work in USA?
Okay, so let me tell you the Sweden, if you see the demographics of Sweden, the people living in the Sweden are 50% of the people lives in a single household, whereas in US around 28% people are living in the single household. So more people are living in single household. Second thing, people are in the Sweden, there are government has universal healthcare systems which provide to their people. Okay, when the pandemic situation started, Sweden took healthcare very seriously and told their people to stay home and government will provide you paid sick leave, which was not in case of US. US started it, but it was only after few months. But at that time also you will see there are healthcare, like in US, there are around 8% people who are diabetic, 13% people who are like different complications in their life. So US, when the virus transmitted to the US people, it was like a mass scale. It has gone up because there are many people that didn't understand. Many people were having um, uh, previous causes of health. So Sweden was trying to flatten the curve as soon as possible to reduce the infections. Where in US, if you see, there are a lot of areas like southeastern states as well as south states also. There are a lot of areas, cities where the crowd is too much, population is too much, like New York, New Jersey, Michigan, all those areas where the crowd is too much. We could not contain in those areas. Those areas were highly populated areas. So where the virus cases were not able to control. Whereas Sweden, in the other way, they were trying to get the curve down, whereas New York was going up by that time.
So then, what would you like to comment on this statement? Our aggressive strategy against coronavirus is working. It's by Mr. Trump. What do you have to say upon this?
This is mostly a political statement, I could say. Yeah, the election is coming in November, and Trump is trying very hard, knowing that his popularity is going down. So he wants to have to say the people, hey, don't worry, we are aggressively trying. We are reducing the hospitalization cases. We are reducing it's going down. The infection is going down. You don't have to worry. We are taking care of healthcare. We are taking care of businesses. We are taking care of giving the finances and the credits to the people. So that he can bring the country back into the track, so that he could have a easy and smooth election in the November. Otherwise, with this situation, how the election is going to happen in November is very difficult to say at this moment.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have a few questions by our viewers. Shall I?
Yes.
What is the role of FDA in approving vaccines?
FDA is taking a very major concern on approving vaccines at this moment. There are a lot of vaccines coming up. In phase 3 clinical trial, at least 6 vaccines are running at this moment. They're either included in US and UK and China also. But FDA is always try to see that if the vaccines comes up, they should be effective, safe to the people. So efficacy check is very important, which FDA has a role. So FDA investigator are investigating on phase 3 trial at this moment, all the vaccines which are going on. Basically in the US as well as the UK, where those are leading at this moment on phase 3. And they are working, if you see, FDA is working 24 hours to get the virus, to get the vaccines as soon as to the people in phase 4 condition. So phase 3 will be, it's going on, but people expect that, okay, as soon as phase 4 comes, which will go for the mass vaccinations, and it should be safe, it should be effective.
And sir, what WHO recommendations are for countries?
WHO is recommending many, WHO is of late has come up with many, if you see their guidelines, they are coming up with many preventive techniques, like how to prevent coronaviruses and what are the PPE strategy, find out all this, they are putting together different guidelines for the different countries. They found, okay, coronavirus situation in US is different, Sweden is different, India is different. So they are coming up with different country strategies, how to contain the virus and how important it is to the role of each and every person, every citizen to have a change behavior towards the virus situation is very important, which they are trying to show it to the citizens.
And so is there any vaccine currently available or is on the phase 4 and soon, meaning is there some positive news that we'll be achieving?
Right now, phase 3, there are 2 vaccines are coming up, which is one is in the US, another is in the UK, which are on phase 3 trial. Coming up successfully. I saw the FDA publications 2-3 days back. The vaccines which coming up with Moderna Pharmaceuticals in the US is showing safety values very high and risk is low. So I expect in October we would go with the phase 4 vaccinations.
Okay, so phase 4 would be in October. So how long would it take to come out in public, the vaccine?
It is not going to come out so quick. It is going to come out only in next year. So after phase 4, there would be studies, and while phase 4 is going on, they will go for more demographics region. They will go for vaccination with many different countries, and then the safety efficacy of the vaccines will be evaluated. So basically, we are talking about by next year, we should have something, and we have to pull up another 3, 4, 5 months or 6 months with this situation to see that we are not spreading virus or we are not going to those areas where there is viruses.
So could you throw some light on the rate of infection in pregnant women and neonates?
Sorry?
Could you throw some light on the rate of infection in pregnant women and neonates?
See, the infection is an infection, okay? This infection is going when this is person-to-person infection, whether it is a pregnant woman or any kind of other subject. So whether it is a pregnant woman, the seriousness is higher. In this case, suppose somebody has it, then, but it doesn't go to the child or baby or the fetus. So it is very important that people should understand this virus, how it is uh, transmitting, how it is containing, how it is affecting your health.
So, what is the risk of getting COVID-19 from coins and banknotes?
I don't see any risk from there because there is nothing established from there that the risk is coming from that. So, but there are maximum risk from person to persons, I could say, which is already established.
Okay. And sir, what would you advise for people who work in supply chain, including logistics, control services, retail? What safety measures should they take to avoid transmission of infection?
Let me tell you, in US, we never stopped being as a essential workforce. Our company or our distribution never stopped. So there are a lot of distribution company also was working during the essential services as essential part of essential services. So it's very important that distribution services take maximum care for with social distancing. First of all, mask and sanitization and disinfection in the work areas. So disinfection in the work areas really help. Disinfection of the distribution vehicle always helps. Distribution and sanitization is definitely helping at every situation. And at the same moment, we are preventing ourselves with a mask and maintaining social distancing. So still there is chances that the virus people are getting affected, but it is how we try to find out ourselves not to come in contact with those people. So we are breaking our rules of like social distancing. If we maintain it, then it's possible that we don't get coronavirus.
And some people are at risk of getting very sick with COVID-19. Is that the case?
Yes, there are cases, many cases like once the infection you have, it affects to the lungs, which everybody knows now. And it all depends upon the person lungs capacity. Lungs capacity depends upon many situations. If the person is a smoker, if the person is a diabetic, if the person is having some lung infection before or something like that, then the challenge is serious. Okay, if you see in US, most of the situation we don't give basically antibiotics to the infected people much like other countries. Here they are putting onto the ventilator. Ventilator takes care of their lungs capacity. Ventilator takes care of their oxygen circulations. Because in our country, we don't believe that kind of antibiotics giving to the people, and it is from the beginning. So it all depends upon the person's previous diseases and previous situations where if he's strong in his lungs, mostly the person comes out of the infection very fast.
Okay, thank you, sir. One last question. What message would you like to give to our viewers?
Yes, I would like to give a message to the viewers, whether it is US or India or Sweden, other countries. There are two, three very important things you have to understand. It is a behavior. Okay, first of all, if you don't want to be coronavirus getting infected, then three things you should adopt. One is mask. Another is your social distancing. And the third thing is don't ever go to the crowd and you cannot maintain the social distancing. And third thing is to practice sanitization. Practice sanitization, hand washing is always better. And even people here in US, they keep sanitizer in their car, they keep sanitizer in their office, workplace, home, everywhere. When they're going out, they're coming in, they're utilizing sanitizer. So in that, you can reduce the load, you can reduce the burden, you can reduce the contamination rate. So that is the only mantras at this moment I can tell the people. This is the best way. How can we stay away from coronavirus?
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you here.
It was pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. So don't forget to subscribe our channel and keep looking for some awesome videos on Why Blackboard. Stay tuned.